Okay, guys, as you join, please get the link and share it so others could join in too.
Good evening, guys. Welcome. It's yet another session of the BlockchainUNN Dev community. If you are here already, you're welcome. I see some comments coming in. Fine, you're very welcome to our session tonight. While we wait for other people to join us, kindly share the links, especially you shared earlier to invite your friends. Notify them that we are getting started now. It's already past 8:30 and we have to begin. But we'll give a grace of like about 4 minutes to people that are not here with us yet so that they can join us. So once it's 8:40 p.m. we kick off this start. So share the links to your friends and everyone else and get them on board. Today we are going to be continuing from where we stopped last week. We had a crash course on HTML and CSS. This is yet another hands-on session of the blockchain UNN developer community, and the goal, as we all know, is to train every one of us so that we can become good developers. So this is just another of our programs to that effect, and Darlington will be taking us on this ride, and I will be here as the host. So while we wait for people to join us, kindly share the links and invite people. It's 8:37 right now, so we have 3 minutes to go. And once it's 8:40, we kick off immediately. I believe you should have your laptop close to you. Like Darlington mentioned on the group chat, we will be having a project happening today. So I hope you have your computers close to you, practice and take notes. So yeah, enjoy the music while we wait for others to join us. Once again, you're welcome. Um, guys, it's 8:40, and we have to get started and have others join us when they are around. So once again, you're welcome to the Blockchain UNN Developer Community session. This is the hands-on session on HTML and CSS. We're having like a crash course into the basics of web development, just to bring you up to speed and ensure that we are all on the path to becoming developers. Anyway, we'll be getting started now. It's already 8:40 and we have to begin as scheduled. My name is Manuela Aguenu, and I will be hosting this session with Darlington. Darlington is the dev community lead. I am his assistant, and Darlington will be taking us on this course. As stated earlier, you have to have your computers close to you because we'll be having to work on a little project while on this space. So yeah, get ready and we'll be kicking off now. Darlington, are you there?
Okay,
Darlington?
yeah. I'm here now.
All right. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay, guys. So we'll kick off, and then others will join us when they are available. All right, Darlington, over to you.
Okay, yeah, can you guys see my screen? Can you guys see my screen? If you can see my screen, can you just let me know in the chat that you can see my screen? Okay, guys, if you could see my screen, can you just let me know in the chat? Okay, Prosper says yeah, he can see my screen. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so we'll be commencing shortly. So last week we looked at an introduction. Oh, please give me a minute, please. Yeah, okay, guys. Sorry about that. I had to fix something. Okay. So as I was saying last week, we started this series that's introduction to HTML and CSS, and last week we went through should I say theoretical background on HTML and CSS. We also looked at a few tags, and I also said something last week. I said that it's usually better when learning, especially when learning to write codes, that you practice far more than you read stuffs. So unlike the school system we are mostly exposed to, where you get to read a lot of theories and do less of practicals. When it comes to programming things stick better when you practice a lot. So as regards to that, we'll be starting practicing today, and we're building a very simple project. So if you head over to the blog to BlockchainUNN's GitHub repository, you would see a repo named BUD session for starter. So that's the starter kit we'll be using for this particular session. So if you are with your system, I want you to just so okay, we'll be getting started, and would take a look at what we'll be building. So okay, so our project today is a very simple project, and don't worry if you don't understand HTML and CSS. You don't need to be a badass HTML and CSS developer to code along. As we code along, I'll be explaining a lot of concepts. I'll be stopping once in a while to explain some concepts that I think might be new to a few of us. So and I expect that nobody in this session, as in there's nobody in this session that hasn't heard of HTML and CSS yet. Especially with the Web3 Bridge guys, they've been doing some. I've been seeing some assignments flying up and down lately, so I'm sure at least we are very familiar with HTML and CSS. And apart from also being familiar, we've done one or two things in in HTML and CSS. So okay, a brief intro again. So HTML stands for hypertext markup language. So HTML is last week the skeleton of your website, and CSS is like the flesh of the website. So with CSS is what differentiates web pages. So imagine if there was no CSS, all web pages would probably look alike, because all HTML components basically look alike. So with CSS we get to style each page to look different, to look as beautiful as we want it to be. And we'll be using, for today's project, we'll be using purely HTML and CSS, no JavaScript, just HTML and CSS. So we could ensure that everybody follows through. Okay, so if you could see my screen, you would see What we're building today is what I call the NFT preview card component. So this is just a diagram, an image of what we will be building today. So actually gotten from Front End Mentor, and you could actually check out their website for more advanced challenges. It will really help you if you are looking to improve your coding skills by building realistic projects. Yeah. So today we'll be going through one of the challenges, and it's actually a simple challenge that would really help you understand some core concepts in HTML and CSS. So after this build, after this will actually very necessary. You do the assignment because it's it through the assignment you actually portray to us that you actually understood what was taught during the sessions, and this is a recorded session. So if you probably do not understand one or two things, you could actually go back later to rewatch it. But it's actually necessary you do the assignment, and I'll be taking us through everything. So it's just like, but I would really encourage you to rebuild it from scratch. To the best way of learning is you try it yourself, and if you can't actually do it, then you could go back to rewatch the video. And I also have the solution here. So this is a solution I built, and I also deployed it to Netlify. So let's view the solution. I also deployed the solution to Netlify, so you could actually check it out. So this is what the solution looks like. This is the NFT preview card. This NFT preview card would actually be building. Yeah. So so back to the starter kit. You could also find the solution here on my GitHub profile. This is the one I actually built, and you could actually go through it. In case you don't understand one or two things in the video, you could actually go through the codes to further aid the understanding. So to get started, we'll be cloning the starter kit. So for some of us who don't doesn't understand what a starter kit a starter kit is like, it's normally used, let's say in programming. Probably I want to give a task, I could actually use a starter kit to get started. It actually helps you, like gives you, like provides a framework you could actually follow. So that's just basically how a starter kit works. So it provides the framework, the groundwork, and you just get to build on top of it. So we'll be using this starter kit to get started. Essentially, the images we'll be using. Yeah. So and also if you have any questions, please do ask in the live chat. So I'll be going through the live chat, and if I find your question, I would probably stop to tackle it. So if you are with your system, I think it's time to dive right in. Okay, so to get started, I said we'll be cloning this repository, and before now, I think the first two dev sessions we looked at introduction to GitHub. So I want to believe that at this point in time, most of us are familiar with what GitHub is. And if you actually did the assignment I was given after the GitHub class, I don't believe you'd still be having issues with GitHub. So yeah, we'll be using GitHub a lot, and with the assignment given, you are expected to build it and also push it to your GitHub profile, and the links will be collected from you and viewed later. You would also be expected to deploy it. But okay, let's just dive right in. Time is going. I'll probably re-emphasize this towards the end of the session. So to get started, we're going to copy the SSH link, and we're going to go into our terminal. So I already have if you can see my screen, I already have a folder created already called NFT challenge. If your folder is not if you don't have a folder yet, you could actually create one using the make directory command. You could actually create one using the make directory command. So before I proceed, I just want to ask, can you guys see this my terminal, or do I need to increase the font size? So if the font size is not okay with you, can you just let me know in the group chat, because I really want us to be following. Yeah, guys, if the font size is not okay with you, can you let me know in the live chat?
Um, Darlington, hello, Darlington.
Yeah. Sorry, I went off for a minute. Let me just set something up and I'll share my screen once
All
again.
right, all right. All right, guys. It's noted. Once he's back up, he will increase his font size. Um, yeah, okay. While we wait, some music as we wait.
Okay, yeah, I'm back up. Can you guys see my screen now? Okay, yeah, guys, if you could see my screen, can you just let me know in the chat? Okay, that's perfect. All right, so I increased the font size. Yeah, I had to change my terminal as the other terminal didn't really support font size increase. But I just changed my terminal now and I've increased the font size. So I hope we could actually see this one better. Okay, is this font size better or do we need to go up again? Okay, guys, if this font size is comfortable with you, can you just let me know in the chat? And if it's not, I'll probably get it up again. Okay, I'm not getting any responses. Oh, all right. I just got a response from Divine. He said yes, it's okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. So I said I'd already created a folder, the NFT challenge folder, and if you are just getting started, you could just navigate to any folder in your desktop and any place in your desktop and create a folder. So you could actually call it NFT challenge or whatever you like, any challenge, whatever you want to call it, just call it. And yeah, we'll get started. So we'll need to clone the repository. So let me just go and copy that again to be sure. So I'm going to need to clone this. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. So Git is cloning it into my local folder, and I believe I don't need to explain this again as we reiterated over this during our last two sessions. So I want to believe I actually had a little issue. So Git created a new folder for me, the build this session for starter folder, but I don't need that new folder, so I'm just going to cut out all the items there and I'll paste it in the NFT challenge folder, and I'm going to delete this BUD session folder. I'm going to delete this one. Okay. It says I will need to prove. Okay, continue. One second. Okay, yeah. So while that is deleting, you could see the folders here. So yeah, just ignore that. So just ignore this for now. We'll just be working with this. Yeah, and so once you've got that cloned, simply move into your VS Code. Simply move into your VS Code, and the design we'll be working with is the mobile design. So I just want to show us what we'll be building. So yeah, this is what we will be working on, and this is the mobile view, and this is the desktop view. So basically, they are both very similar, and why I actually chose this project was for the beginners, for the persons who are just starting, would probably not need to go touching media queries and the rest. So we'll just be focusing on pure HTML and CSS, probably most of the basics and the fundamentals. So yeah, so we'll be focusing on the mobile design. Since both of them are literally the same thing, it would both be responsive on the mobile and the desktop. Okay, so to get started, let's go into our index.html file. And okay, okay, yeah. So this is our index.html file, and this is where we are going to be writing our HTML codes. So before we get started, I would go over the files contained here, explaining every single file, so it gets easier for you when you are working on your assignment or on your project. So the first file is the index.html file. So this file is where every single code will be writing, every single HTML code will be writing, will be going into, and this is the file that gets loaded up in the browser. So this file inherits the CSS, and yeah, so we'll be writing our HTML codes in the index.html file. So I have the readme.md file, but this readme.md file is not for you guys. This was created to explain the project But during when you'll be submitting your assignment or your task, I don't expect you to be using this readme file. I have a readme template here. I have a readme template here, and I expect you to go over this readme template and edit the necessary parts, and we'll still be going over that towards the end of the session. But I just wanted to make this clear that when submitting your project, ensure to um edit the readme template.md file. Then once you are done editing it, make sure you copy everything you've edited and come to the readme.md and then paste it here. And once you've pasted it in the readme.md, ensure to delete the template, as it was just a template provided to help you write a good readme. But going forward, we'll probably not be providing templates for you, because we expect that you go through the templates and you learn to write good readmes. So if you want to learn more about the markdown syntaxes that are used for writing readme, we have a link there in the readme template you could actually look at. So I actually copied the files from the readme template.md and I moved it into the readme.md. Sorry, the readme codes, and I moved it into the readme.md. So this is what you'll be submitting. So in your project, I do not want to see the readme template, so I expect you to copy that, edit it, paste it in your readme.md, and delete the readme template. So that's about the readme. So we also have the styleguide.md, and this styleguide.md is going to help us with styling. It's like the design size we'll be using, the body aid our styling. So okay, so our mobile design, I'm going to be opening it towards the side of our VS code. So we'll actually be taking a look at it as we build. We're actually going to be looking at it as we build. So yeah, so is there any other things? Okay, so lastly, we are going to create a CSS folder. We're going to create a CSS folder, and this CSS folder will hold our style sheet. So we're going to create a style.css. Okay, let's move this over here. Okay, let's move this over here. Yeah, so inside this our style.css, we'll be writing every styling that would need for our code. Okay, let's move this here. And um and Okay, guys, sorry for that brief interruption. I'm having If you guys are following me and you can still hear me, can you just let me know in the chat, because I actually feel like I'm talking to myself. So if you are following me and you can still hear me properly, can you just let me know in the chat? And also, if you have any questions, please, as we proceed, do ask your questions in the chat. Yeah, ask all your questions in the chat and I would attend to them. So, yeah, can you guys hear me? Okay, yeah. Musa says we can hear you. Okay, that's fine. So like I said earlier, this is what we'll be building. This is what we'll be building, and this is our index.html file. So yeah, let's get started already. We've done a lot of talking. So I believe a lot of us are with our systems and you've cloned the file and you're actually coding along, because it will really help you. You would know where you were stuck and you could actually ask questions. So yeah, so to get started, we'll be removing some things. We'll be removing this. We don't need this. We don't need that. We'll be changing this front end mentor. We'll be changing it to blockchain. Let's change this to blockchain UNN. Yeah, and let's remove these comments also, and let's remove the styling too. So we are going to be writing every single style from scratch. We're going to be writing everything from scratch. So these are the texts we are meant to use. So we would leave this text here for emphasis purpose. So we'll be going back to the text to probably copy and paste to ensure that we actually meet up with our time. But we are just going to comment it so it doesn't show up in the browser. And lastly, we are going to be removing this attribution. Yeah, so we're going to be removing the attribution, and let's just create a h1. Okay, sorry. Let's create a h1. Let's just call it NFT preview task. Okay, that's just to okay, and I'm going to open this with a live server. I'm going to open this with a live server. So a live server is a very useful extension that can help you a lot when writing your HTML and CSS codes, because with a live server, as soon as you make changes to your project, oh, Youngsi said the font is small. I can barely see the lines of codes. Sorry about that. Let me find a way to increase it. I've not actually done that before.
Also, Tennyson. Sorry,
Yeah.
let me come in. All right. In case I'm assuming it could probably be from your end, Young C. So I would advise go to the on your YouTube. There you'll see these three lines you would see. Click on it and change the video resolution. It should be on auto. Auto would it's trying to save your data, so the video resolution will actually be low. So I think you can increase it to about 720p. It will make the screen clearer on your end, and you can see the lines of code better, because um code is actually small, and it will definitely be hard for you to see. But if you increase your resolution, your screen resolution on your end, it will become clearer, because it's actually clear on my own screen. So just try out what I said and notify us if it works, so that other people too can actually take pick that up.
Okay. Yeah, and I also just increased the font size now. I actually increased it, so I believe we could actually see this. I think this is far way clearer now. So so in case you had issues initially, I want to believe this is clearer, Young C. Okay, can you guys, Young C, can you confirm that it is clear? Scholastica, you too, can you see this better now?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Okay,
So
Scholastica
that's
says
just
yes, clear. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, he can now get the live server is a useful VS Code extension. You could actually install it. For those who doesn't have it would actually help you. It would actually help you a lot. It would actually help you a lot. As with a live server, once you make changes to your code, it automatically gets saved for you, and you just have to view the output in your browser. Especially if you're okay, yeah, as you go for React and next, when you're building with frameworks, you get to realize that it's usually very stressful if you actually get to write codes, and after writing the codes, you have to actually review them. So you just have to view the output in your browser. to go to the browser and reload every time. Yeah, after the session, go now file is being loaded up properly. The next thing we want to confirm is we want to link our CSS and also confirm that our CSS is working. And to do that, let's just add a little class. Let's add a class to this. Let's call it heading. Let's call it heading. So for those who doesn't know what a class is, so when styling the CSS code to know what you are actually styling, but it's actually very difficult for the CSS to just automatically understand what you actually want to style without you specifying what style exactly. So that's what a class helps you to do. So there are three major ways of picking elements to style. We have using tags. So you could style the h1 tag directly. You have the classes, and classes you could actually use class just like I did here, and you could actually use id too. So the major difference between these three is that is usually emphasized or applied to just that single element. You can't use an ID twice, unlike the tags and the class elements. So class elements are usually used when you want to style a group of things. So just like class, so you understand what class means. So when you want to style a group of things, or you want a particular style to apply to more than one element, then you can actually use the class. So, but most times, I think most development standard, a lot of person use classes often. So we're just going to be using the class. And probably we might touch on ID. Now, styling. We're going to style that particular element, and we're going to give it a click. Go to your browser. So the color hasn't changed yet because it's actually expected that for your HTML file to see your CSS file, you need to link it. So it's just like you need to link the two files together. The HTML file needs to inherit the CSS file, and to do that, okay, let's just use the link CSS, and we have this. So we're going to remove this since this is not correct, and we're going to specify the correct part. So CSS style /style.css. So this is the correct. With just this simple line of code, we've actually linked this HTML file and this style sheet together. So you can now see that our NFT preview tags is now the red color, and our HTML and CSS was properly linked. Yeah, so having done that, we're just going to clear that. We just did that for just to ensure that both was actually working. So we are going to get started. A section, and we're going to call it card. So a section is actually a tag, and it's usually it's actually proper development standard that let's say you're writing codes, you divide your codes into sections, because when it comes to writing codes, you're not just writing codes for the user alone, but as you progress further, it's really necessary that your codes are very clear, it has clarity, and can easily be understood. It can actually be read. So yeah, so that's one of the reasons why you need to write clean codes. So probably when you are working with big corporations, you could actually be working in teams, and your colleague might need to read your code to understand it, to probably work together with you, or you could actually work probably leave the job, and a new developer comes in. So it's actually important for you to read your code and understand what you actually wrote. Yeah, so we've spent a lot of time talking. So okay, so we have the section tag, and we call it, and we call it card. So next we are going to specify the next step we are going to be taking is we are going to specify every HTML element we have in this stuff we want to build. So this is what we want to build, right? So and this is made up of HTML, and then we're going to use CSS to make it look like this. So let's get started. So inside the class, the card, the first thing we can see here is an image, right? So we are going to add that image. So let's use a div to probably divide them into sections. Yeah, okay. Although you could actually write the image directly, it's not really compulsory to do that, but yeah, okay, yeah. So the image we could find it in images slash I think let's check out our images folder. So the image is the image equilibrium. So they're going to be specifying that image images slash image equilibrium dot jpg. Yeah, so um VS Code already. Okay, so we are going to give it an alt name. So this alternate is very necessary. Most times I see a lot of developers normally ignore the alt tag, but it's actually necessary because have you ever gone to a website and you are trying to reload the page, but or load the page, and probably your network is slow, and you realize the images did not load properly, and maybe you see a kind of icon like this small thing here that signifies that an image was the particular maybe it actually gives a brief description of the image that was supposed to be there. So in case the image is not there, you could actually look at it and understand, okay, this is what is supposed to be here. So we're going to call this alt tag nft image. Yeah. So we would ignore the source set. We ignore the source set, and let's check how this looks. Let's see if our image appeared. So if we go to automatically, once you save, your browser reloads, and we could see our image here. So yeah, so we linked our image properly. 3429, and what we are going to do now is we are going to use a div. We're going to use a div here, and I want us to group everything here together. Everything here together. Okay, so let's call that the content of the card. Div dot card content, and once we do that, we're going to use let's use h2 for that, and we're going to call it okay, the equilibrium. So the equilibrium, I think those things, okay, they are separate. 3429 exactly. So I actually even forgot we have these stuffs here, so you could actually just copy and paste. That was the purpose why it was actually kept there. So you could just actually copy and paste instead of write it manually. And after the h2, we also have a p tag. So we are going. This is a p tag. It's p represents paragraph, just like when you write normally in your book. So you have you normally divide your stuffs into paragraphs. So we use p for paragraphs, and we're going to also copy this too, and we are going to paste it in there. So once we do that, and we can actually see it here, our equilibrium collection promotes balance and calm. So yeah, so we are making progress actually. And after that, we're going to have this section also. This section contains the the price in Ethereum of the NFT, and it also contains the time. Okay, I saw a question here. So okay, live server automatically refreshes the pages as you are editing your code. It makes work faster. Okay, yeah, that's actually true. That's actually true. So we're going to call that let's call that card. Okay, let's just call that card details. I know bad name, but I've never really been very good with namings. So yeah, and inside there we have four elements. We have an Ethereum image or a symbol of Ethereum, and then we have the text of that specifies the price of Ethereum, as in the price of the NFT in Ethereum, and we will have a clock image and the time left. So we are going to add all that in our HTML. So to get started, we're going to use the image tag, and the Ethereum icon is this icon ethereum.svg, and is what we are going to be importing. So we need the icon ethereum.svg, and we are going to call this earth icon as our alternate. We're going to call it earth icon, and just close to it, we are going to give it a p tag, and we are going to call these okay, we're going to call this okay, sorry, we're going to write the price here 0.041 as the price of the item in Ethereum. And let's divide these two into divs. So as we go further, you understand why I actually did this. So let's just divide this into divs. Yeah. So I actually believe that from the few lines of code we've been writing, although I've not explained what the div tag does, especially, I believe what we've been writing is quite self-explanatory. We usually use the div tag to like group elements. We actually use the div tag to group elements. So it's also is in the same class of tags as section, main, and few other elements that are usually used for grouping your HTML codes. And it's called a block level element. So your element, as in the new element you are specifying, it breaks into a new line. So that's why it's called block element. So next we're going to add the clock icon. We're going to add the clock icon using an image also, and we're going to add the images, the image of the clock icon, which is icon clock, right? Icon clock.svg. And we are going to just, for the alternates, we are going to write clock, or okay, let's just call it time. I think we're going to also add a p tag, and in the p tag we're going to write this text here, that is 3 days left. 3 days left. So if we save this and we go back to our browser, we'll see that our HTML is slowly trying slowly starting to take shape. This is our Ethereum icon, and this is the price of our product in NFT, the price of the NFT in Ethereum. This is the clock icon, and this is the time left, probably for pre-sale or something. And now we're going to go outside. Okay, okay. This the section class card. Okay. Now we're going to go in outside the card details, and the next thing we have here is a horizontal line. Is a horizontal line. You could actually also call it an underline, but we are going to create that using the horizontal tag. So this tag is used for creating a horizontal line. And as you could notice, unlike other tags we've been writing, this particular tag does not have a closing tag. It closes itself. So normally, when we write tags, we usually use this symbol for closing. So once you see this symbol in any tag, it's actually a closing tag. So for this particular tag, it opens and it closes on itself. So yeah, so that's how we write the href tag, and that tag is actually used to create a horizontal line on your web browser. Then next we are going to create the footer of the card. We're going to call this the we're going to give it a class of footer. We're going to call it footer, and we have an image there also. Can you just probably signify that you're actually following, probably write I'm following or something, so I'll be sure I'm not actually talking to myself. Yeah, so if you are following, please do indicate in the chat. So and if you have questions, yeah, please do ask. And okay, so with this we have the image, and lastly we have a p tag, and in the p tag we have this creation of Jules Wyvern. Creation of Jules Wyvern. So we have this creation of Jules Wyvern. So Musa says, why is it hanging? Okay guys, is it hanging from my end or is his network giving issues? Okay, Jacob says I'm following. Yeah, I just want to confirm, is the hanging coming from my end or is there an issue with Musa's network? Okay, Emanuela, are you there? Can you hear me? Hello, Emanuela, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. I'm trying to figure out
Yeah,
what's going on. No, it's
okay,
pretty. The network is
said hanging.
stable on my end. So, but two people are okay, okay.
Okay, yeah, I guess it's from my end. I guess it's from my end. Let me see.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, Jacob says I think it's okay now. So Musa, is it okay now?
It's actually stable for me here.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So Scholastica says I'm following, though not really understanding. Okay, Scholastica, can you ask your question? Can you ask your question? So I believe if you are not following, you probably got hooked somewhere. So can you ask your question? Let's see if we could actually clarify it. Hello, Scholastica, are you there? Okay, yeah. As we await Scholastica's question, because of time, let's just proceed. We have less than 30 minutes remaining, and I'm still at the HTML part. So yeah, let's move a little faster. And like I said earlier, you might not really understand everything now, and it's not actually necessary you understand everything now, especially if this you are very new to, especially if you are very new to HTML and CSS, you probably not understand everything now, and it's actually normal. So like I said earlier, this session is recorded, and if you have any issues at the end of the course, you could actually go back to the course and go back to the YouTube channel and rewatch the session, and also attempt the assignments. By doing these, you get to understand better what we are done, what we are doing currently. Yeah, so after this session, just attempt the assignment, and probably rewatch the session if you need to. And if you are still not clear on things, if you are still not clear on anything, you could actually add or ask questions on the developer group chat. That's on the WhatsApp group chat here. Okay, yeah, Jacob says I'm following everything on the VS Code, but I need to go back to the previous sessions on Git. Yeah, that's fine. If you still don't properly understand Git, you could actually go back to the previous sessions. Yeah, you could actually go back to the previous session. So Simon says the clock image, is it from front also or from image in your PC? Okay, so for now, I don't expect you to go looking for icons in font awesome. So I have a starter kit already. If you are working with the starter kit, you already have all the images there available. So probably as we go further, we'll get to understand how to use font awesome icons and the rest. But for the sake of the persons just starting, I actually believe it's actually better we don't complicate things unnecessarily. Yeah. So okay, so let's proceed. Let's proceed. So Scholastica says, okay, I've looked closely and I think I understand much better now. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, let's proceed. So if we save this and we go back to our browser, we would see that yeah, we have every single item, every single HTML element we need. We have every single HTML element we need. But yeah, you could see it's actually still looking very weird, and it looks nothing like the original prototype we are actually trying to create, and that's because we've not done anything on the CSS aspect yet. So I believe by now you should have understood what I meant initially when I said that HTML is the skeleton and CSS is what creates the design, creates what it looks like. So we just laid the skeleton of this project, and with CSS we are going to dive deeper into bringing both of them into alignment to look a little more better. Yeah. So we'll be working with this image. And the first thing we need to do is, if we notice, we're going to change the. Okay, let's go into our styles. It's our into our style.css, and if we notice the background of this web page of the prototype we are looking to build, of the sample we are looking at, the background is not white, but ours is white. So what we're going to do is we're going to change so the first thing we are going to do is we are going to change the background color. Now the body tag is used to style the body of your web page. I think I just went out. Okay. Yeah, Emanuela, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. I can hear you. I
Okay.
can. Yeah.
I was actually thinking my network just had issues again. I saw Kenny complaining about network. So yeah, so
Yeah.
probably it's from his end. Yeah, so as I was
Yeah.
saying, the body tag is actually used to style the body of your web page. So when we refer to the body of your HTML page, it refers to everything that you see on your web page. So anytime you go to a web page, everything you see on the web page is the body of the web page. So any style we apply to the body affects everything on the web page. So yeah, so we are going to add a background color to our web page, and we already have the color in the style guide.md. And yeah, we have the HSL something which must be very confusing for a lot of persons, But we are running out of time, and it's actually a very simple concept. It's a style of writing colors. We have different formats. You have HSL, you have RGB, and the rest. So I'll just advise after this session, you could just check up on what HSL is. Yeah. So, but this would give us the navy blue background image we are looking at. So now, if you come, you could see that the background of our web page has changed, and now we have this navy blue, dark navy blue image. Yeah, dark navy blue background. Sorry. Yeah. So now let's go over to styling our card. So to style our card, we have a class here, right? The card class. Like I stated initially, I said classes, IDs, and tags are usually used for specifying the elements in your web page you want to style. And I use the body tag, for example. This is an example of using a tag to style. And the next thing we're going to be doing is we are going to be using we're going to be using classes now. So to use a class in CSS, you start with a dot. So when you want to start using a class in CSS, use a dot to start the styling. But if you want to style using IDs, you start with an hash. So if it was an ID, you're going to write hash card. But if it's but if it's a class, you are going to use a dot and write the class name. So now our class name is card, right? Let me confirm. Going back to the index.html. Yeah, so our tag name is called card. Our class name is called card. Sorry. So we're going to do dot card, and we are going to start styling this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to give this card a background image similar to what we have here. So this is the background image of the card. As you can see, the card has this lighter blue navy, should I call it navy blue background color that is lighter than the background. And we also have the color, that particular color in your style guide. So you're going to see the card background here, and we're going to be using this. So if you copy this and you paste it, yeah. So we're going to paste it here. So this is the background of the card. The next styling property we are going to be using is we are going to be giving it a width, a specific width. So in my style guide.md, we have two widths. We have 375 pixel for mobile and 140 for desktop. But we're going to be ignoring this, and we are going to be using the 375 pixel, which was specified for mobile. So yeah, so we're going to be using 375 pixel as our specified width. And if we save this and we go back to our image, we can actually see that our card is beginning to take shape. But we have another issue, and is that this image is bigger than the card. So we want this image to probably occupy the card, to be inside the card, not bigger than the card. And to do this, we are going to come here and we're going to style the image. So we have the image here. So let's give this image an ID. Let's give this image an ID of let's say, okay, NFT image. I'm going to give it an ID of NFT image, and we are going to come here and we are going to start with the hash. Remember, I said if you are styling a class, use a dot. But if you are styling an ID, you start with an hash. So we're going to be starting with an hash, and we're going to be saying hash NFT image, and we want to give it a width of 100%. A width of 100%. So if you save this, you will find out that the NFC image now will become 100% of the card width. So let's go back there. So automatically you can see the image now fits into the card. So the percentage is a, should I say, measurement unit similar to pixel and rem and m and the rest. Usually use percentage. When you use percentage, normally it looks at the top level element, and it takes 100, it takes if you say 100%, it takes 100% of the width of the top level element. So in this case now, if you go to our HTML, you find out that the top level element to if you look at this image now, let's use this image instead. The top level element to this image is the card, not the body. So automatically the width of this image, when you give it 100%, your browser automatically calculates 100% of 375 pixel, and it gives the NFT image as 375 pixels. So automatically our NFT image width becomes 375 pixel. So if we notice, when we look at this, we find out that this our card is at the center of is at the center of okay, sorry. Let's close this. Let's open the desktop design, and let's open the, okay, this is the desktop design now. So you would actually discover from the desktop design that the card stays in the middle of the web page. So the question is, how can we make this card sit in the middle of our web page? How can we do this? So there are different ways of doing this, but one way we are going to use, and it's actually one of the easiest way, is, firstly, we are going to be specifying, we're going to be telling our browser that this element, sorry, not here, that the card element is a block element. So we're going to specify that this is a block element. So there are different displays, and displays are usually used to specify layouts in your how the layout, how you want whatever item you're adding the display style to, how you want it to sit on the browser. So it specifically defines the layout of that particular element on the browser. So when we use the block, we automatically tell it this is a block level element, and with a block and a width, we are going to do something, a little magic here, and we are going to specify our margin left to be auto, and our margin right to be auto. Now just look at what this does. So when you save this now and you go back to your browser, you automatically see that our card now comes to the middle of our web page. Now you ask, what does the margin left and margin right auto does? So when you use the margin left auto, let's use the margin left auto alone. You find out that it will give a lot of space to the left hand side and push our element to the right. So let's look at this first. When you do margin left auto, you see that it gives a lot of space to the left hand axis and pushes everything to the right hand. So when you use the auto, you're automatically specifying, okay, give the maximum width you can to the left hand side and let our element sit on the right hand side. But when you now do margin left auto and margin right auto, the browser now tends to want to push it to the left and want to push it to the right. So because the left says, okay, I need as the maximum space I can get, and the right part says I need the maximum space I can get, the browser would not say, okay, the best I can actually do for you guys now is position the element in the middle, so you guys share half of the spaces. So that's what happens here. So this is a very easy way of centering an image or in your browser without using any layout like flex or grid or something. So automatically when you do this, the element you are trying to center comes to the center. So after doing this, yeah, so we are actually beginning to take shape, but this is still looking weird, and it's still not yet looking like what we have here. So let's go back to the mobile design once again. Let's go back to the mobile design because this is a little more bolder, and I believe we can see this clearer. Yeah, so the next thing we are going to do is we are going to add a padding. I'm going to explain what a padding does shortly. So a padding is what happens when you add a padding. This is what happens. You can see this, right? You can see this little space between the body of the parent element. Now, when I mention the parent element, I'm referring to the card because the card is the parent element, and every other thing inside is the child element. So when you use a padding, you're actually telling your browser, okay, I need space within myself. So you're just saying, okay, I need space, but now I don't need space with external factors, that is factors outside. I need space within my system. I know this will be very difficult or quite very difficult to grasp if you are just getting into HTML and CSS. But what I'll advise you to do is after this session, just go check out the box model, look for articles about that talks about the box model. It will help you understand this better. So with padding, you're saying I need space within myself. So anything that I have inside of me should not touch me. Like it should just I just need space between me and whatever that is inside me. So the difference between a padding and a margin is that when you use a padding, you are creating space inside the element. But when you use a margin, you are creating space outside the element. I need you to take note of this because this actually usually confuses a lot of beginners. So it's actually necessary you take note of this. When you use padding, you are creating space within the element, and when you use margin, you are creating space outside of the element. So that's just how it is. So if with the padding 30 pixel, if we go to our browser now, we could see we are beginning to take shape little by little. You could see we now have space here within our element. But yeah, so I feel like this our element, this our card element, it sticks to the top. It sticks a lot to the top. I want to give a little space between our card and the top, and that's where I use a margin. Now you could see that here I want to give space outside the card, that's to the top. I want to give space. You could see this, the space here is too little. Now I want to create a space outside this card. For this, I now need to use a margin. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say margin top, and I'm going to give it let's say 40 pixel. So yeah, I have space now, but I actually don't feel like this space is enough. I still need more space. So I'm going to increase that to 70 pixel. Yeah, so with this you could with what we've been doing, you could actually notice that CSS is one of those programming languages we actually call try till you get it. So you can't just start writing CSS and just write that perfect code that will just align to your design perfectly. So you actually keep trying different styles till you actually get what you need. So that's just how CSS is. So yeah, so now the next thing we are going to look at now is there's this border radius. If you notice, this is not is this card element is not squared, but we have a little border radius that curves here, and we have another one that curves here, and we have another one that curves here, and we have another one that curves here. Now to create this border radius, we are going to use the border radius property. We're going to give the card element the border radius property, and we are going to say I want a border radius of let's say 20 pixel. And if you save this and you go, you could see that our element was rounded up at the four sides. So you might ask me, what if I don't want to create in the four sides? Maybe I want to create in one side or just two sides. So this border radius property, if you use just one element, it's a short form for writing this. So this border radius element is same as writing this 20 pixel, 20 pixel, 20 pixel, 20 pixel. So this and this is the same thing. You see, it gives the same result. So you could actually see the four sides are still curved too. You could see this side is curved, this side is curved, this side is curved, this side is curved. What if we want to curve just these two parts? We could actually do that too. So the first element, the first 20 pixel you write, the first digit you specify, the first measurement you specify is for the top leftmost corner of the card, the top left edge, and This second one is for the top right edge. So the way you look at it is you start from the sorry, okay. Yeah, you start from here and you go to till you get here. So let's confirm this. So let's say we give this 0 pixel, we give this 0 pixel, we give this 0 pixel, and we save and we go back. You would actually find out, yeah. So you would actually find out just this part was curved, this part remains squared, and this part remains squared. So that's just it. To alternate between the curves, you could actually change any value here. You could actually put this as 10 or whatever you need. But if you know that the four values are going to be of the same value, that's the four measurements are going to be the same value, you could simply just use one value to specify that the four measurements are the same value. And if you save this and you go back, you could see, yeah, the four sides are curved now. But I don't need I feel like this curve is a little too much as compared to what we have here. So we're going to reduce this. Let's reduce this to 15 pixel. And if we go back, we'll see, yeah, the curve is now a little more. So our NFT card is beginning to take shape. So the next thing we're going to do is, if we look at the image, you realize the image too is curved. The image is curved. So we need to curve the image. So to do that, we're going to come to the selector. Yeah, so the IDs, the class, and the rest, they are called selectors. So you use them to select specific elements on your HTML page. So we're going to come to this selector and we are going to specify another border radius. So we're going to specify a border radius of, let's say, 10 pixel. You could notice here that it is not as curved as the outermost one. The curve here is slightly curved. So I believe 10 pixel should work it out. So when we go back to our browser, yeah, you could see it's actually curved now. It's actually curved. Yeah. And the curve is a little slighter than what we have here. So our card is beginning to take shape. Now, the next thing we are going to style is this Equilibrium #3429. That's the name of our NFT. So, as we could see here, the name of our NFT is in white, but ours is in black. So, we are going to add a selector to this. So, let's use an ID here also, and let's call this okay, call it a name. Let's call it name. Let's give it an ID of name. So since we use an ID, we're going to use the hash symbol here again, and we're going to say hash name, and we're going to give it a color of white. So you notice when you use the when you want to give a background color, you can use the background property or you do background color. But when you want to give a text a color, you use this color style. You're going to use the color style and going to specify white. So we want it to be white. And after we do that, oh sorry, I gave that the wrong selector. So this is not supposed to be here. This is not actually supposed to be here, but in our h2 tag, yeah, in our h2 tag. So coming back here, yeah, we could actually see that we now have our NFT name go white. So yeah, we are making so much progress. We are making so much progress. Our card is beginning to take shape. So yeah, it's now beginning to look a little more similar. We are getting somewhere. So the next thing we're going to style now is this text. Now you will notice that this particular text in this most of you will notice that most of the texts in our card is this dull, or should I say light blue color. Only few tags are usually is only few tags you'll notice, sorry, few texts that either have a white color or a cyan blue color. Yeah, so what we are going to do is we're going to go back to our body. Okay, let's go to our body elements. Okay, no, let's go to our card elements rather. since all these are elements of the card. And we are going to give it a color of that particular color. So let's go back to our style guide. And going back to our style guide, we can actually see that that particular color is, I think, is the soft blue color. Yeah. So we are going to copy this. And going back to our style.css, we are going to paste that there. And once we do that, we'll find out that, yeah, most of our text inside our card now has that particular color we selected. So automatically the p tag inherits from that color too. So we don't need to actually style the p tag separately. We don't need to style the p tag separately, as the p tag is also a text inside the card element. So automatically the text color we give to our our card is going to affect every text inside it. Yeah. This again, but there's this level of when I remember, probably I'll talk about it later. But it just specifies the order CSS follows to override style the way the order it obeys. I'll talk about that towards the end of the course once I remember the name. So yeah, so back to our style.css. Now, what do we have left? What do we need to still style? So okay, now over to the next big work. So we would notice from here that this and this are supposed to be on the same line, but they're actually on different lines. So how can we achieve that? How can we achieve that? So to do that, we are going to, okay, yeah. So we're going to look at the flex property next. So this was one of the reasons I decided to divide it using divs. And for this particular set of elements, they are inside the parent element, which was given the class of card details. So it was given a class of card details, and we are going to style that card details element, and we are going to specify. Okay, so we are going to come here, and this is a class. We use a dot, and we're going to say card details. We want you to be want your display layout to be flex. So we're actually running out of time, so I won't actually be very opportune to explain the flexbox in details. Well, we have specific types of layouts in CSS. So basically, most of all these layouts are usually specified using the display style, and they specify the layout you want your elements to take in your browser. Yeah, so for this, we are going to be using the display flex, and you'll see once we do this, you'll notice that the both elements come into the same line. This is beautiful. Now we automatically have brought them into the same line, but they are not actually looking okay, because apart from the fact that they are closed, which they are not supposed to be, the text are coming under the images, and I will explain why the text are coming under the images. But before then, we are going to come over here, and we are going to use justify content, and we are going to say we want space between. So this justify content is a style that we have access to now, because we have already specified the display of that card details element to be flex. So automatically we have access to the justify content style. So if we save this, you realize that now there's space in between. So space between means, okay, I want space in between these two elements. I want space in between the two elements. But this is not all. So now, like I said earlier, you could notice that the image and the p tag are not in the same line, But if we go to our HTML file, coming to our HTML file, you can actually see that the image and the P are inside the same block, that's inside the same div. So you would wonder, why are they in different elements? Well, I said something about block elements earlier, and the image tag is a type of block element, is a block element too. So we have block elements and we have inline elements. So block elements are like elements that when we use them, they tend to take up the whole space and push every other element to the next line. Unlike inline elements that can accommodate more elements with it. So that's basically the difference in both of them. And like I said earlier, you don't need to understand everything now. You could actually come back to watch this session later, and if you have questions, you could always ask on the group chat. Yeah, you could always ask on the group chat. So to make this element now, so we want to do the same thing we did to the card details earlier. So if you noticed earlier, we had the same issue with these both, with these two elements, with this element and this element too. But using display flex, we brought them into the same line, and we are going to do that too for this element and this element, for their individual elements. We want them to be in the same line. And to do that, we're going to come here and we are going to specify a class too. And we are going to call this we're going to call this price. And we are going to also come here too and specify the class too. And we're going to call this time. So we are going to style both price and time and give them a display of flex. So to get started, we're going to say dot price, and we're going to give this a display of flex, and we're going to do the same for dot time. We're going to give it a display of flex too. So when we do this and we go back to our browser, you could actually now see that they are now in the same line, but the image is looking a little weird, and we are going to work on the image. Yeah, we're going to work on the image. It's looking a little weird, but now we've actually achieved what we wanted to achieve, and you could actually see that both of them are in the same line. So what we're going to do to the image now is we are going to give the image some IDs so we could style them, probably give them a specific width and height so they won't be looking as strange as they're looking now. So we're going to come here, we're going to give this an ID, image and ID. Let's call it at icon, and we are going to give the time and ID to, and we're going to call it clock icon. Yeah. So we are going to come here and we are going to style those elements, and we are going to do something very interesting now. So you could actually style, if you noticed here, dot price and dot time here, they had the same styling, but I had to write them in different, in I had to write them differently, and this is actually not so good because when you program, you do not want to repeat yourself over and over and over again. It's actually necessary, as much as you can minimize space, you do minimize space. Apart from code readability, that's the way it makes your code looks neat. It is actually a very good programming practice. Yeah, it's actually a very good programming practice. So we could actually, there's something we could have done here, and that's what we'll be doing for the icons now. So we could actually say dot at icon and dot clock icon. We are going to give both of them a particular width. So let's say, okay, let's give it a width of 40 pixels. Let's see if that'll be okay. I think that'll be bad. I think that'll be bad. Let's try 18 pixel, and let's give it a height of 18 pixel too, and let's see how it will look like. Okay. Okay, sorry, this was not supposed to be a dot. Those are IDs, so this is supposed to be an hash, and this is supposed to be an hash. So let's save and see if our changes reflect. Yeah, perfect. So now we could see our changes actually reflect, and our icons are looking okay. Although I don't like the way the Earth icon is looking. Probably let's just reduce this to 16 pixel. Let's see if that makes it look better. Yeah, I think it's actually looking better now, but the clock icon is not also looking good. So I guess we'd have to separate this into two different we're going to separate this into two different places because the same styling probably not work. That stuff I did was supposed to, okay, let's do it here. So you see this would actually be the same with removing this and then coming here and doing a comma and doing dot time. So using the comma, you could actually um, combine two styles. So you could actually style two items that have the same styling. But it's actually necessary when you do this, you are actually doing it to an item that uses the same style. If they don't use the same style, it's very necessary that you avoid that. But if they use the same style, then you could actually do that. Yeah. So once you do that, once you do that, the next thing we are going to do is we want to create a style for our earth icon too, for the earth icon, and we want to give it a specific style of its own. So we're going to give it a width of 15 pixel and a height of 18 pixel. So let's see how this looks. Yeah, so the earth icon, I still don't like it. The width is looking too much. So let's make this 12. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I like the way it is actually looking now. So we also have a little issue. If you notice, our text are not sitting in the middle. So we want our text to sit in the center of these icons like they do in here. So you could actually see the text actually in the center of the icons, unlike ours that is looking a little quite weird. So to fix that, we have a display of flex already on both items, right? We have a display of flex. So we could actually add the align items center to align those items to the center. Let me see if that works. Yeah, that works. So using the align item center, you could actually align the items to the center. And we also have one more issue. From here, you could see that our price, the font weight is a little bolder than the rest, and the color is also a little different. So to do that, we are going to also specify the dot price again, and we are going to give it a font weight of bold. So the font weight bold is a CSS style similar to the B property, the B tag we used last time, that bolds elements. And for that color, the color is cyan, and it's already contained in our style guide. So we are going to be using that. And for that, we're going to be saying color. We want the color to be this. And once you do that and you go back, you could actually see now our card is beginning to look so perfect. Yeah, our card is beginning to look so perfect. Yeah, this is perfect. This is nice. So the last thing we want to do is okay. The last thing I think we need to do is this footer part. This footer part. So let's go over to the footer. And going over to the footer also, let's see how our footer looks like this. So we also need a display flex. We need those two items to be in the same line, just like it is here. And we've added, if we go to our index.html, you could actually see that we added a class called footer. So we could actually use that to pick those two items up, to select those items. So doing dot footer, we could actually give it a display of flex also. We'll give it a display of flex, and if we do that, we'll see that we should see the two items go on the same line exactly. Now the next issue we have is our image is quite too big. We need to reduce the size of our image. So we'll give our image an ID also. We'll give our image an ID, and the image ID we're going to say, okay, let's call it avatar. And going to the style.css, we want to style that image. So let's use the hash avatar. I want to give it a width of, let's say, 40 pixel and a height of 40 pixel. So let's see how it looks like. Yeah, that's perfect. So the size is actually small. I think I like it that way. Um, let's the next thing I want to do now is there's this white border radius. This white border radius on the image, which I don't know if you could probably see, but there's a white border radius around the image. I want to give it um do that to it. So we are going to say give it a border of 1 pixel solid white. So this is usually used to create a border around an element. So if we do that, we could actually see now we have a white border around the element, but this white border is squared and our image is circle. We could actually fix that by giving our image a border radius of 50%. So I want you to note this. Each time, anytime you use 50% on a border radius, it's the image or whatever it is you are trying to give a border radius automatically turns to a circle rather than a minimal rounded edges we see here. If you use a border radius, any elements use a border radius of 50% on will turn into a full circle, and you could actually see that here. This is now a full circle. Yeah, so we're actually getting there. So next thing I want to do is I want to go back to this display flex also and give it an align items of center. And once we do that, yeah, it's now in the center. But if you notice something, our images and our text are close by. It's a problem I think we have with both the earth icon, the clock icon, and the avatar. So we are going to group that and we are going to give it what I call a group styling. So we talked about group styling earlier. So we are going to say ash earth icon, ash clock icon, and ash avatar. We want these three elements to have a margin right of, let's say, 10 pixel. So just like you are seeing in this our sample here, there's a space between the Ethereum icon and the price, and same between the avatar and the text. So this margin right is going to give us that space. So once we do that, you could actually now see perfectly that we have that spaces we need. So there's a space here, there's a space there, and there's a space here. Perfect. So at this point in time, we could actually see the close resemblance between both of them, but we are still missing a little segment. If you look at this creation, this footer, the footer text says creation of Jules Wyvern. Creation of Jules Wyvern. But the Jules Wyvern, the name is in white text, but our own name is not in white text. So we want this name to be in white text instead of this light blue text it is. Now this is actually a little very tricky because if you say you want to pick it out by this p tag element we used here, if you give it a styling of white, automatically it turns every text in this footer to be white, including the creation of. But we just need this juice y event to be white. So what we are going to do is we are going to use an inline element called span. So we are going to use this inline element called span, and we are going to cut juice y event. We're going to cut this out, and we are going to put it in between that span tag. And the reason why I used the span tag was so that I could give an ID to just specifically that juice wyvern, to just the name. So I'll call this footer. Okay, let's call this author. Let's call this author. Let's assume is the creator of the NFT. So let's call him author. The name author. And we're going to come here. We're going to say dot author. Sorry, that's an ID. So it's going to be an hash author, and we are going to give author an ID. Sorry, color of white. So once we do this, so once we do that and we go back to our browser, you could actually see now we have creation of Juice Wyvern and the name is in white. So this is actually what we have finishing. And I feel like this is a little big, so let's reduce the size a little. I feel like this 375 pixel is a little too big, so let's reduce that a little. Let's go back to our card and let's reduce the width here. Let's make this like 350 pixel. Let's see. I want the width to be a little slimmer. Yeah, I think I prefer the width this way. So now you could actually see that we've actually completed our challenge. And looking at both, you could actually see the close resemblance to both of them. So there's a very little difference here because we are not actually using the same fonts. I didn't really want us to touch Google fonts, so I particularly removed the style guide on the font type. So, but you could actually see that we have almost exactly the same thing here. So yeah. So if you have been following up to this point and you have any question, please ask your questions now because we are about rounding up. Before I talk about the assignment, do we have any questions? So before I talk about the assignments, do we have any questions? So I want to answer something here. All right. Okay. Okay,
All
guys, are
right.
we still following?
Um, I don't think there are any questions. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I feel like
Oh,
most persons have
okay.
actually even gone off. Yeah. I don't think we still have a lot of persons
Follow. I don't think they
currently,
are
but
still following. Classical
practically,
search doesn't have it. Yeah. So okay. Musa has a question for you. So
okay. Musa has a
let me
question.
continue.
So he says, "Can you talk more about display?" Yeah. Okay. So the display style is, like I said earlier, is an important style in CSS that is usually used to specify of layout of elements on your browser. So basically, when you use display, you want to you are trying to tell CSS, okay, this is the layout I want this particular element to have. So they have different types of display, but there are three major ones. That's the block display, the flex display, and the grid display. So grid is about the most complicated of them all, and it's one a lot of persons usually avoid. But I particularly like grid because I feel like it gives me more ability to customize my designs, to customize my elements, the layout of my elements, than flex and block elements. But then it's just my own opinion. So basically, you could see what we did when we use flex normally. With flex, when you say a display is flex now, you tend to tell your browser, okay, every property that applies to that the flexbox has, I want to be able to use on this element. Now the display style and the talk about layout is actually a very broad one, and I just gave a brief intro on how it just works on the basic level. But I would actually advise that once we are done, you could actually just Google what display are, and probably check on W3 schools. There are a lot of materials that talk about the three types of display: block, flex, box, and grid. So they're actually very important for CSS layouts. And basically everything you don't do in CSS revolves around layout. So it's a concept you must actually understand. Starting out, it might be a little confusing or complex, but as you move forward, you get to actually get a good grasp of them. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question, Musa. Can you just yeah, if I answered your question, you could actually just let me know in the chat. And if there are no more questions, then probably would move on to the assignment, so we could actually be done by 10:30. So yeah, are there any more questions? Any more questions? Okay, you're welcome, Musa. Yeah. Okay, I want to believe there are no more questions. So I'm going to talk about the assignment. So like if you've been active on the group chat, you should have actually have realized that we are doing what you guys call sanitation. So we've been removing quite some number of inactive persons on the group chats. So the idea is we do not want to have a large number of persons in the community, but these guys are not active or participating. So the idea behind which blockchain and developer community was created was to groom developers. So to groom you, we would provide all the necessary resources, but it's left on you to take those resources and grow with it. Yeah, so that's why we actually did what we did, and we are actually looking to groom a community that would actually be very good devs tomorrow. Out of blockchain and dev community, we're hoping to groom devs that would work at Fangs tomorrow, would work at the top blockchain protocols tomorrow. And yeah, so this requires a lot of diligence, and that's why from now going forward we'll be placing a lot of emphasis on our assignments. And after this session, I'll probably be creating a Google form where you submit the link to your project, and the links to your project and your GitHub repo. Yeah. So I just want to make this clear. If you I don't need you copying and pasting the codes. In fact, if you copy and paste, I would actually know. If you copy and paste, I would actually know. So I need you to take effort to actually write this out, because if you go over the sessions again and you build this again from scratch, you would get to understand most of all these concepts better. You'd get to understand how to use selectors, you get to understand how to use classes IDs, you get to understand how to use most of all the CSS elements we talked about. So yeah, it's very necessary you go over the assignment. And yeah, the assignment basically it's on the GitHub repo already. I'll be dropping the link once again on the group chat. So I expect you to go to the GitHub repo, clone the starter kit, and build everything again from scratch. They say repetition is meant for emphasis. So the more you build, the more you repeat this stuff, the more these things get to stick to you. So yeah, that's about it. So if you stick with us till this point, yeah, kudos to your perseverance. And yeah, thank you so much for actually coming around. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Yeah, and so that would be about it. So I'm handing over to you, Mandela.
All right, all right, all right. Darlington, thank you very much for the session tonight. You've done a very wonderful job as usual. Thank you everyone for coming around. Thank you for sticking with us up till now. Um, like Darlington said, Darlington has explained how the assignments will go. So I just want to chip in that you should do your best, ensure to do this assignment on your own. There's no need going to copy the code and copy and paste it, because if you do that you are actually losing, because the main aim of the whole thing we're doing here is for you to actually learn and be a developer. And uh it kind of defeats the purpose if you simply just go and copy a code base and then repost. It doesn't really make any sense. It's not really helping you. So it's best you do it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask on the group chat as usual. If you It's better you try your attempt and probably make mistakes and get corrected. That way you learn instead of having to copy and paste. But that's just I just had to put that out there. So once again, we appreciate everyone for coming around, and thank you so much, Darlington, for your time and for sharing your knowledge with us. And guys, if you are not subscribed to our channel, do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be having sessions like this often. So um ensure to subscribe and watch this space, and also remain active on our WhatsApp community. A lot of things go on there. Okay, yeah, Fortune, and everyone else, this video is recorded, so it will remain on the YouTube channel, so you can always go back and watch it. The one on we had the past sessions we had on Git and GitHub. It's on our channel. You can view them. You can also view this one whenever you want to. So we've come a long way tonight, and I think we have to say good night here. Thank you everyone for coming around and for sticking with us up to this point again. And I would wish you all a good night, and remain active on the community so that we can all grow together. And yeah, always feel free to bring up your questions and you will have them answered. So once again, thank you everyone, and have a good night.